Okay. Hi, everybody. You're on the cloud and welcome. Good group.
Yeah.
Who else we got coming in? Yep. Hi, Danielle, Michael, Brianna, Karen, Brendan, of course. Jessica's floating around here somewhere. We'll see if Shelby shows up. Shelby's been sick, you guys, like real sick. Um, there she is. Shelby, you're here. Are you alive? Let's just talking about you and telling everybody how sick you've been.
Oh my God, this has been like the month from hell. I've had the worst flu and it turned into pneumonia and I've literally just been in bed pretty much like most of February.
Yeah, and then it snowed like a mother.
Yeah.
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 So did you guys like
But
lose
I'm finally
power?
coming out of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
ready to join life again.
Well, I'm going to give you your props now because you've been sick ever since we had the 2026 launch party. And I know you wanted to go and then you came down with the flu. So I'm going to give you your props now in front of the people that are here, which is quite a few people. Um, You had, I don't remember the percentage increase, but you had a huge increase 24 to 25. And best I can tell, 25 was your biggest year in real estate ever. So congratulations. Delayed.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Good job. All
Thanks.
right. So what we're going to talk about today is buyers, and it a little bit different than our typical buyer talk. So we broke a listing last Thursday that it was just one of those listings that did really, really well. It was like the perfect storm. We had a seller that was willing to do a whole bunch of work. We had a property that was in pretty good shape to begin with, in a great location. We had a seller that didn't think I was too insane about how I wanted to do pricing and how I wanted to do marketing. Although they caught to it later, they said, we thought you were totally crazy. And my brother's a developer in Oregon and he thought you were nuts. And, we just did it anyway. So all these things came together and it just went off huge, which is great. But what I was really excited about was it generated so much traffic um, over the weekend. Just to give you some perspective, on Friday night I was open from 4 to 7. I had 16 groups through on a Friday night. That's the biggest Friday I've had in a long time. On Saturday, Danielle held it open. She had 18 groups in 3 hours on a Saturday. Also one of the biggest Saturdays we've had in a long time. Brendan, I don't know how much traffic you're getting in Sacramento, but up here, that's really, really good traffic. And then Sunday, in 2 hours on Sunday, I had 20 groups through the house, which is by far the biggest Sunday I've ever had. And that's all well and good. And I'm not telling you about how much traffic we had to say, hey, great, how much traffic. You talk to some agents and they're like, well, we had 47 showings and 7 offers and blah, blah, blah. I don't care about any of that. What I do care about is that it gave me the opportunity to talk to a lot of people that are buyers in a very short amount of time. And I haven't been able to do that in a while. Like the past 4 or 5 listings that I've done in 24 and 25, I mean, they were just kind of the new open house. Maybe two, three groups through. Half of them were neighbors, like just not that great. So this really was my first exposure to a bunch of buyers in a short amount of time. And I just asked them a ton of questions, right? A ton of questions to try and figure out where we are. Some of it I'm not super surprised with. Some of it was kind of eye-opening, to be honest, and I wanted to share it with you. I wanted to share it with you for two reasons. If we take this information, it should really help us do a better job with buyers, but it also kind of tells us what to do with listings and what not to do with listings. And this is straight from, okay, so the house was listed 599. It ended up selling for more than that. I'm not going to tell you how much it was yet on the internet. You can text me and I'll tell you, but I'm not putting it on the internet yet. There were 4 offers. It did really, really well, right? So it's that 600 to $700,000 window that really is our brokerage's wheelhouse and really is the wheelhouse. I mean, if you look up averages in all of our counties or medians in all of our counties, it's right there. That's what it is, right? So the information is really, really valuable. So let's get into it. And also, I'm hoping that if I go through this quick enough, we can kind of have a little bit of a round table here, and you guys can give me your take on what's been happening because I know Michael's been dealing with some buyers lately. I know Brendan's been dealing with some buyers lately. I know Brianna's had a couple of listings, had open houses, had buyers through them. So we can kind of have a little bit of a collaborative discussion on this is what we think the attitude of people is and how we help them, right? How we're more successful in helping them. So, first of all, what I didn't hear one time, not once, in all of those people, in all of those conversations, anybody guess what I didn't hear? And this is new. This is the first time in years. What did I not hear? I never heard the word rate, not one time. Never heard it, right? It is no well, I'm not going to say it's no longer a conversation, but what I'm going to say is there was no conversation about rate or rates or what do you think rates are going to do and don't rates suck and what are rates right now? It was completely off the table. Not one person asked, and I sure as heck wasn't going to bring it up, right? So what that tells me is now the headline today, if you guys pay attention to the news, and I know you do, if you're getting emails and everything else, the headline today is the 30-year rate is officially below 6 today. That's what the NAR says, right? And so when they say that, that's pretty decent paper, 30 years, conforming no jumbo, right? Paying no points, it's under 6. It's probably 5.99997, but it's under 6, right? So that's good. The other part is I think that we finally reached, and I was talking to Alan about, is he here? No. I was talking to Alan about this the other day. I think we finally reached a place where both buyers and sellers, is that my internet guy? No. Both buyers and sellers are in this place of kind of rate acceptance, right? I don't know that they're ever going to say, rates are good unless it gets to 2.99 again, which, by the way, is never going to happen. So I don't know that they're ever going to say, hey, rates are good. But I think that they're in a place where they're like, okay, it is what it is. I'm going to have to figure out how to operate inside of it. And that's what it's going to be. That's good news, right? That's really good news because if we can get away from the rate conversation and we can get into a place where people are accepting of the way rates are, that makes people more confident. They go out and they buy houses. That's what we want, right? Most of the people that I talk to have been looking for a long time, months, if not year or years, a long time. I asked the question of most people, ask the same few questions when we're first getting going, but at some point I asked the question of most of them, hey, how long you been looking or how long you been at this? And they would like get the big eyes and be like a long time. And so then immediately, I've told you guys this before, but I was really, really fortunate to have a mentor a long time ago that just grained this into my brain, which was ask one more question. So immediately, what I ask is, well, why, why? Why have you been doing this for so long? What's going on? Tell me about it. And some not surprising things came up, right? Look, they've for the past couple of years, they've been really anxious about buying a house for a number of reasons. Rates, the news, the economy, the climate, about the climate in America in general, you know, uh, the California crisis in general, like, oh, I'm gonna leave the state, California, start packing, okay? Any of that stuff. They're also very, very picky, right? So over the course of the past few years, they've gotten a lot pickier about what they buy. Okay. Remember COVID? If it's got a front door, four walls, and a roof, and it doesn't leak, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to be competing with 25 other people that want to buy it too. That's gone, right? They're super, super picky. They're cautious, right? They're really, really concerned about all parts of the buying process. They want to make sure they get the right house. They want to make sure it's in the right location. They want to make sure there's nothing wrong with it. They want to make sure they're paying the right price. They want to make sure they're getting a decent rate and they're not going to have rate regret, right? They want to know about the schools. They're very, very cautious. Okay. This attitude that we experienced for a while, like, yeah, this will work. And you know what? I can get in there and I can make it my own and everything's going to be okay. No, that's gone. Okay. Super, super cautious. They've had few choices, right? We know that they haven't had a bunch of inventory to choose from. So they say things like, well, we see every single house that comes out and there's just nothing that we really like. That says no inventory, right? Because to even be able to see every single house that comes out, there has to be not that many of them, otherwise you wouldn't be able to do it, right? So they've had few choices. They are tired, very tired, right? You see them come in like, oh, here we go again, another open house, but I have to do my diligence. If I don't do my diligence, I might not, I might miss out and whatever, but they're tired. They're tired of the hunt. They're tired of the BS that they see on the market most of the time. They're tired of getting lied to by real estate agents. They're tired of seeing stuff that looks wonderful online and then they get there in real life and it looks like crap. They're tired of all of that, right? But they also really want to buy a house, right? They really, really, really want a house. That's why they're still doing it. That's why they're still looking, despite all of those things. Here's the other thing that I learned. They have zero tolerance for overpriced property. What they think is overpriced property. Zero tolerance, right? So you guys know my strategy. Okay. I avoid that, right? So when they walk in the door, I want them to say two things. Ooh, this is really nice. Ooh, this is a good deal. Okay. Just because I've always done it that way. But right now, it's very timely because they all made comments about, and they could cite houses. They knew the houses better than me. They're like, yeah, you know that one on Christian Valley Road? And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. They're like, the one I'm talking about. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, the blue one. Yeah, okay, the blue one. Yeah, I know the blue one. That was 50 grand overpriced. And I'm like, okay, you know? Oh, you know the one down in the city of Auburn? Yeah, yeah, the one on Mulberry? Yeah, that one's $75,000 overpriced. I know. It's like, okay, great. Like, I'm not going to argue with you, but they think they know, right? Brianna says 1251 Christian Valley. I know it well. Is it the blue one? Not if it's the blue one. Yep. Okay. Yep. They know it too. Um, remember, they have access to data, right? Lots and lots of access to data. So this is not just them saying it's overpriced, right? Zillow is a real problem or can be a real problem in a rural environment. Okay? It can be a real problem in a rural environment. We know that. You take Zillow to a subdivision in Rockland, it does a pretty good job with the Zestimate. That's what I'm talking about. You take Zillow to a subdivision in Roseville, it does a pretty good job. You take Zillow to a subdivision in Auburn, it does a pretty good job. You start to get rural, and Zillow doesn't know what to do because there's too many parts and pieces for the algorithm to process it. I'm telling you this because of this. If you're listed over the Zestimate, I think it's a real problem, right? We know they have zero tolerance for what is overpriced, for overpriced inventory. We know they're looking at Zillow. It's the number one real estate portal in the world. Okay. We know that in the past, that Zestimate they kind of took with a grain of salt. They took it kind of serious, but they took it with a grain of salt because it was like, yeah, well, it's worth 400 on the Zestimate, but tomorrow it's going to be worth 475. What are you worried about? Right. So that was going on. Now, not so much. So if you're going to process a listing, for example, and your seller says, "Hey, I want to be 699," and the Zestimate says 675, I mean, you could have a problem. That's a little problem. 699 to 600 is a problem. Okay. Now, the other thing that I know about Zillow, Zillow's going to find this in AI and change it forever, is that many, many times if there's a big gap in this estimate and what you list it for, as soon as you list it and it goes live on the MLS, they'll go up. They won't go up all the way, but they'll get closer. All right. But understand that if you're working with buyers or you're working with sellers and there's a house that you're talking about and it's listed above this estimate, I bet you're going to have a conversation on price pretty quickly. Okay. You got to be ready for that. All right. Number four, we've done this for a long time, but it's getting really, really important now. They want reports. They want inspections. Okay, but probably not for the reason you think, because I dug into this a little bit. All right. Most of them, and I never considered this before. I do all the reports because I don't want to request for repair. Plain and simple, right? I don't want to request for credit. So that's why I do all the reports. But now it's also important to do the reports because most of the people that are out there trying to buy a house have already been in escrow somewhere else one, two, three times. And it blew up. Why do you think it blew up? They put it under contract. Go ahead. Who is it?
Because sellers still have an unrealistic expectation of what they're willing to fix or credit for.
Yes, very good. That's the second half of it. What's the first half of it?
Buyers are pickier.
Right? They were in escrow on a house more than likely that didn't have inspections posted to the MLS. Who paid for the inspections? They did. How much did it cost them? 1,500 bucks, right? Then they went and they asked for the credit, like Brianna says. They asked for the repair, they asked for the credit. The seller says, hell no, I ain't doing it. I shouldn't have to. The deal blows up and the buyer's pissed because they spent 1,500 bucks that they can't get back. So now, when they go to look for another house, they have two choices. I've got the house that's got all the inspections done, and all of the peace of mind that that brings, and all of the disclosure that that brings. That's wonderful. But also, I'm not going to spend another 1,500 bucks, and now it'll be up to 3,000 or 4,500 in money spent for a house that I'll never buy. This is new for me. Okay. And it kind of hit me on the side of the head like, oh, yeah. You know, I said, we do all the inspections up front. About seven of them said, thank you. And I was like, wow, that's a great response. Why are you so excited about that? And they're like, well, we were in escrow before. We spent $2,000 on inspections and it found, they get crazy. Like the roof was totally gone, or the deck was falling off the side of the house. The seller wouldn't do anything, so we canceled. We couldn't get our money back. Yeah, that all sounds true. So they want inspections and reports and disclosure up front. They've been burned before on those costs. They've had to eat those costs. Plus, they want to be confident and they want to be comfortable that they know what they're buying or that they know what they're writing an offer on, right? They don't want to go through the request for repair process ever again. It was painful, it was scary, and they ended up in a place where they got stepped on. They don't want to repeat it. Quality will really stand out, right? Like I said, it's not me, it's the seller, it's the stager, it's my media guy, it's not me. All right. All I do is just point at people and tell them what to do. But that listing was beautiful, right? Super, super, super high quality. It will stand out right now like you would not believe because most sellers and agents aren't doing it, right? And they've seen all of them. The people, the buyers, they've seen all of them. Remember, they've seen every single listing there is to see on market. So they've been there. They've looked at it. They've smelled it. They've done all of those things. and they're all kind of average. And then they go into something that's above average, or I don't even think it should be called above average. I think it should just be called acceptable. They go to something acceptable, and it really stands out as impressive. Okay. And it's refreshing to them, and they're excited about it. And they will respond. I proved it. They will respond to quality quickly, right? If you feed them a fit, they will act. Even if they've been looking for 2 years, 3 years, 6 months, whatever. If you feed them the right fit and take away all of the questions, they'll act quickly and they will break out their checkbook. So let's pause for a second. And then this could be hard because not everybody's doing it. But if you've got a buyer and you're working with buyers, what kind of listing do you want to take them to knowing what we know? You want to try and find houses that present kind of like the one that we're talking about. If you're working on a listing with a seller and you want, I mean, we all want to sell it quick, guys. I mean, nobody likes a house that sits around on market, right? You want them to be successful, and you start talking about what it takes to be successful, and they immediately go to money because that's where they'll go. I don't want to spend it. I don't have it. Yeah, we've got NextHome Refresh. I don't want that either. I just don't want to do it. I want to put it on the market. I want to sell it, and I want to make all this money. You can't do that. We know based on recent listing performance, we know what works and what you have to do to command that kind of Harley zooming in and out on the blackout screen. What you have to do to command that kind of response. You have to do everything, right? It's really hard, it's really expensive, it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of coordination. It does. But you're good enough to do that, right? We know that. Something else that I learned about them that I think is new. This, I mean, they always ask questions about the area, but man, they really ask questions about the area. They want to be really, really comfortable with the area. They're asking about the neighbors. Hell, I don't know, right? They're asking about the school. I can answer that, right? They're asking about the area in general. I can answer that. But they're asking a lot more questions about area because I think this notion of hey, I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to be here for a couple of years. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to move on. And then I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. I think that's kind of petering out a little bit, right? As it always does after some weird roller coaster real estate economy. They're like, nope, I just want to get somewhere. I want to get settled in. I don't ever want to do this again. All right. And then we'll get into major price appreciation wave and they'll all sell it and do it again. But right now, they really, really want to know a lot about the area. So, if you're taking somebody to show, if you're taking a buyer to show, and you're not really, really solidly familiar with where you're taking them or the area that you're taking them, you got to bone up on it. You got to really know the answers. You got to be that neighborhood expert for wherever you're working because they're going to ask, right? Same thing if you've got a listing, maybe it's not in your town. Maybe it's somewhere outside here. You really got to get detailed and get in the weeds about where that listing is, what the area is like, what the micro area is like, right? For example, Sacramento. Sacramento is a big spot on a map. There's a lot of listings that could have an address that says Sacramento, right? You've got to understand where am I in Sacramento? What's this neighborhood about? What are the goods? What are the not so goods? Right? Where are the services in relation to where I am? Where is entertainment in relation to where I am? What school are these kids going to go to, regardless of what age they are? What's the deal on those schools? What do I know about those schools? Right? You've really got to know all that stuff because they're going to absolutely grill you on it to a level that I've never seen. So we're talking about, again, finding buyers listing or providing listings that are priced well, disclosed. When I say disclosed, I mean all the inspections and all the seller reports, It's got to present well, meaning it's got to show well, right? And it's portable, right? Remember, one of the things that we do is we go off on the media, right? So all of my listings are 100% portable. They're all on your phone. Once you fall in love with it, you can stare at the phone the whole car ride home, the whole car ride to the next house, or whatever. You can watch the video 75 times. Okay. You can go through the Matterport 75 times. You can scroll through the pictures 75 times. There's nice little music in the background. All right. It makes you very, very happy. It's portable versus yeah, here's that listing. It's got some pictures, yippee, whatever, right? How many times can you look at still pictures? All right, but if if I play Travis's little video with the cool little song in the background, you will watch it over and over and over and over again. Okay? When you're in, and I know, Damian, you just got done saying there's no listings. Now you're telling me that when I have a buyer, make sure I find listings that have all that shit. I understand, okay? But you can try. All right. And you can know that if you can find listings that have that kind of package put together for your potential buyer, there's a higher chance they're going to buy it versus the other kind, right? So you can try. And then if you're going to list a property and you want to move that sucker, you got to do it, right? You absolutely got to do it. I don't want to do it. I only want to do half of it. Fine. Then get half the result because that's what's going to happen. Okay. Yeah, I'm talking all this crap and yeah, we'll see what happens with the one I put on today, right? It's just gonna blow up and yeah, whatever. Um, remember, they've all dealt with a lot. They're tired. Here's the other thing. They're all a little bit negative, right? This is different too. At least before, before 2024, some of them would be negative, some of them would be grouchy, but you'd have the happy ones sprinkled in there. You know what I mean? The really excited ones sprinkled in there. I don't know. I mean, Danielle, maybe you can chime in here and give me some advice. I mean, they were really nice people. What is that? 16 plus 20, the 36 groups that I dealt with in 2 days were really nice people. They were happy to be there, I guess, you know, but they were a little negative about the market in general, about the process, about what they've been going through, right? About you could tell it's like I gotta see this house. I want to see this house, but I really don't want to do this anymore. I've been doing this for so long. I don't want to do this anymore, right? I just what's it like to be a normal person that owns a house and is probably grilling food in the backyard right now? Because they're probably happy, and I'm out here with Zillow in my hand, driving around all day, and it's horrible. So they're a little negative, okay? Know that your buyer clients have got a little bit of that in them if they've been at it for a while. Now, if they're brand new and they just got pre-qualified and they're just starting their search, woohoo! Yeah, it's a great time. Everybody's happy. But if they've been at it for a while, or if you're like the second or third agent, right? They're going to be a little negative. They're
One thing I've found doing open houses is that the buyers always want to know the story behind the reason why the sellers are selling their house.
yeah, yeah,
So, it did help me just kind of being able to talk briefly to the seller. I just asked him, how long did you live here? What was your main reason for wanting to sell? And it just kind of gave me an icebreaker with the buyers.
yeah. This did just give you another piece of negative. There was a family that came through. Okay. They were very local. All right. Very, very local. So we bonded pretty quick. Okay. And the guy says, why are they selling? And before I could answer, he said, are they going under or are they just leaving the state? That's what he said. Why are they selling? Are they going under or are they just leaving the state? And I'm like, neither. They want to downsize and move closer to their grandkids? Like, oh, okay. Just negative, right? Like it's got to be bad. There's got to be a bad reason for it. So here's my point. And you really got to work at this. I really got to work at it. Some of you probably don't have to work at it at all, but I really have to work at it. If I know that probably 90% of the people that walk through that door are probably going to have at least a tinge of negative, up to a whole bunch of negative, I have a mission, and that mission is to inject positive into them, to get them fired up. Because if they're fired up and they're excited about my house, there's a better chance that they're going to buy it, right? So I got to turn the frown upside down. I got to figure out somehow, some way to make that happen. Okay. And um, according to the seller, let's tangent a little bit. So I didn't know this. Okay. After all the open houses, I said, we need to sit down and have a meeting about what we've got going on. And they're like, cool, we'll do that after the open house on Sunday. And I said, okay, cool. So I didn't know this. So I sit down and we're talking, and they're really excited about how it went. They're really excited about the weekend. They're really excited about everything. And they said, we have to tell you something, and you're going to be angry at us. And I said, I'm thinking, they're not going to sell the house. That's what I'm thinking, right? They're not going to sell the house. It wouldn't be the first time that Heather came in and freaking dolled somebody's house up, and they're like, we're not leaving. We're not leaving. So I'm thinking they're not going to sell the house. So I just went through all this, and they're not going to sell the house. And I said, no, I'm not going to be mad at you. There's nothing I haven't heard. There's nothing I haven't heard. And they said, we put 6 cameras in the house and watched you. And I was like, come again? Like, and they're like, yeah, I mean, please don't take it personal. I mean, we trust you, but we didn't really know you all that well. And, you were throwing these big numbers at us. And my brother up in Oregon was kind of like, there's no way there was that many people in there. Maybe he's taking you for a ride. So we put 6 cameras in the house to watch you and to listen to you. I go, you put them in on a Sunday, like the slowest day to put them in. It turned out to be the biggest day, but I'm like, you put them in on a Sunday? Come on. I'm like, yeah. And they said, we were just absolutely blown away by what you do. And I said, I don't even know what I do. Just tell me what was so impressive, or what blew you away. And oh no, first thing I said was, it probably got pretty boring, huh? And they're like, what do you mean? I go, I say the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. It probably got pretty boring, right? They're like, it did get a little bit boring, but we were really impressed. And I said, great. But here's my point. We're talking about the negative, right? How do I turn the frown upside down? What do I say? Or how do I set the tone? And they brought it up. And they were laughing when they brought it up. They said, the whole thing well, here's what I say. When somebody walks in the house, I say, hey, welcome. How you doing? It's nice to see you. I'm Damian. We shake hands, right? And I say, okay, let me pull you over here. Let me give you a little bit of high level information, okay, that I think is important. All right. And then I'm going to turn you loose and let you enjoy the house, because I am not a stalker, right? And as soon as I say that, everybody smiles. Stalker, right? Well, the seller brought that up. So now the seller calls me when we talk, or when he texts me, he calls me the stalker, right? Hey stalker, how you doing? So maybe something like that. Turn the frown upside down. Get people in a different mindset to understand that, we're supposed to be having fun here. You're supposed to be seeing a house that you might want to buy. It's supposed to be a good experiment. And then the seller goes, and by the way, you stalk every single one of them. I said, yeah, I know. I do. Right? He said, we would hear you say they're not a stalker. And then you'd walk backwards like this, and you'd stand in front of the fireplace and you'd wave, right? Da, 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 da. And then you'd watch him go into it. We'd watch him go into the room. And then we'd see you go into the other room and be like, you guys okay? Yeah, we're fine. And then you go back to the fireplace, and then you look out the window and you'd see they were in the backyard, and you'd go to the deck rail and go, you guys okay? And they go, yeah, we're okay. Right? So you say you're not a stalker, but you are a stalker. And I said, okay, fine, whatever. Right? So remember, they're going to be negative. Put something into your spiel or something into your presentation that loosens them up a little bit, lets them know, hey, we're here to have a good time and I'm here to help you. Let's laugh a little bit. It can't be that bad or you wouldn't be here right now. Let's have a little bit of fun, right? By the way, since we're talking about cameras, and I told my seller this, I said, if you're going to leave those damn cameras in the house, you have to tell me because I have to disclose it. All right? Like, do not let me have somebody schedule a showing and you've got cameras in here and I haven't disclosed it and they find them. And by the way, where are they? Because I can't see them. Like, they're all over the house. I can't see them. I walked through that house 47 times. So that's it. Now, I said a lot. My computer says I've been talking for a total of 29 minutes. Um, Give me your take either on what was said or what you're experiencing. How do we get better at understanding what kind of mental space and what climate home buyers are in so that we can deal with them at a higher level and give them better service? Hit me. What do you got? Danielle saw 20 of them or 18 of them or whatever on Saturday. I know some of you others have been seeing a lot of them too. Fill in the blanks. Tell me what you got. Tell me if you think I'm right on, right off, whatever. Let's talk about it a little bit. How do we get better?
I think you're right about interest rates because nobody brought it up to me. I brought up interest rates to one person and I know that buyers are keeping an eye on that. And then the one prospect that I did bring up interest rates to said, yeah, we saw interest rates just went down recently. So I think we're past that roadblock of interest rates,
Mm-hmm.
which is good.
Real good. Yeah, because there's nothing we can do about that one. Okay. Thanks, Danielle. What else?
I actually believe we're going to have a buyer's market coming up here because I think there's a lot of inventory coming and they're all going to be competing for the buyers that are out there. So prepare your buyers, let them know that there's going to be some good deals out there. I also have some buyers that are still looking at expireds. They watch them go on the market, they watch them come off, and they ask me to call on them still and see if I can get
Like
them less.
like they really, really wanted it and they keep track of it even after it's gone. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy. I mean, that never used to happen before.
No, and they know they can probably get a deal on it because it didn't sell.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. I think it's definitely going to, I don't know if it becomes a full blown buyer's market by definition, but after what we've been through for the past 5 years, it will certainly feel like it. Because there will be a lot more inventory. There will be more competition to sell your house. Because, I saw some metric that said if the interest rate gets below 6%, so many more people can actually qualify for a house based on medians and all of that stuff. But it's not, I don't think it's as many more will qualify to cover what's probably going to come to market, right? So I agree with you. And I think I told you guys before, but yeah, I talked to a lot of people about what they have in their pipeline, and it is significant. You know, my friend over in El Dorado Hills, he's in a completely different market, so I can talk smack about him if I want. But he's got 10 listings in pipeline. He's never had that many listings in pipeline at once. Never, right? Our home stager is absolutely bombed. She's booking into like April, right? Those are all listings that are coming in our service area. I mean, she has to go out and buy more furniture. She called me and said, "Look, what do you got going on? I want to make sure I take care of you. We're like booking into April." And I'm like, "No, we're going to be okay. Let's figure it out." So there is a lot more inventory coming and not a lot of more buyers, I think. I think some more, but not a lot of more, right? So you're right. Michael, you got anything to add? I know you ran a couple of opens in McKinley Village. That's a busy place.
Yeah, we had a
Be
great,
nice.
a
Be nice.
busy weekend.
Be nice. Be only nice things we could say.
Not really. It was, like some people were there and they were engaging and they really liked it. And more and more, like I had 6 people there all at once. So I'm like, I was, I needed help. This guy's coming in. I needed to talk to him. This guy's asking buying questions. Like, we really like this. We want to make an offer. I'm like, okay, well, I should told him pick a number. I don't know. It just takes a little practice. And, you know, I'm sure in 10 or 20 years they'll be able to do this a little bit more proficiently. But I'm often, ready to provide solutions to people, and that seems to scare them off a little bit. Listening is better.
Okay, hold on. You're offering, I love the way you said that. I'm offering to provide solutions to people and it's scaring them off. Um, okay. I Michael's kind of aggressive by nature, you guys know this, right? Like in the best possible way, he's a little aggressive by nature. So I think that Michael, I think that all you got to do is remember what we talked about with their level of fatigue, and how kind of over it they are, and just maybe a little more gentle. I think that's what that relates to. Not that you're trying to help. I don't think anybody minds help. I think they're just tired, man. And they're like, wow, this guy is fired up. So
Well,
um
it's like they want to do something, but they can't. And so, oh, you could do it this way and it would work. And then, that's like, oh, all right, I got to go. Now I gave them a solution. And I'm like, well, now they really want to do it. They just wanted to make an excuse why they couldn't.
oh my God, Michael, you're gonna make $1 million. I swear. You are like
There were 3 frogs on a log,
you're
and
gonna
one
out
decided to jump off. How many frogs are left?
Well, what? Three
There's
frogs on a
three.
log. One jumps off. How many frogs are left? There's
Well, one
three.
decides to jump off.
Decides to jump off. There's three. There's two on the log and one in the water.
No, all 3 are still there. The one that decided to jump didn't actually do it. It only decided to jump.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Um, yeah, I, I could see that. My approach with people in an open house or these people in the open house is very energetic in very small bursts. Like, I'm really excited that you're here. I'm really happy to see you. I want to tell you all about my disclosure package and my reports and why it's awesome. And I'll see you later and let them go. Right? And then when they come back around again, I might give them another 15 seconds and then let them go. Right? And so maybe that's all that they can take because they've had it up to here with house hunting. They've had it up to here with real estate agents. They're spending both days every weekend doing this for who knows how long. So how do we be refreshing versus just another open house, right? Um, and I don't have the answer. I'm putting the question out there because I think it's something that we all need to kind of think about. If we understand or try to understand a little bit more about where they are and what they've been through, how do we not add to their grief? How do we add only value and not more stress? And I'm really I've been thinking about it a lot because some of the answers and some of the information I got is really informing. Like when I think about a home buyer, just that I'm talking to just in general, it's not really entering my mind that they've been doing this. They've been in this hunt for a year, getting frustrated. Like that really doesn't enter my mind, right? It's not really in my mind that they're exhausted and probably over it. I'm not going to default to that. I'm probably going to default more to, buying a house is exciting. They're probably fired up. They probably want to see houses. They probably want to get into the market. It's an exciting thing and they want to get it done. But so many of them now, I think, have been doing it for so long, it might not even be fun anymore. And then, I just added to it for three of them because we had four offers and we can only accept one, right? So Three of those people that wrote offers, my situation, although it might have been refreshing when they saw it, my situation has just added to their overall negative home buying experience. Think about that, you know? And I've knowing what I knew and knowing some of the people that wrote off, I didn't represent any of them, obviously. They all had agents, and if they didn't, I would have sent them to one of you. But I got to know them a little bit in the open house, and I was kind of I don't think I've ever really felt that bad about sending that email or making that phone call to say, hey, your client didn't get it. I'm sorry. You know, after they had told me, oh, we've been doing this for a year and it sucks. You know, like I wanted them to have the house, but it went, it went, you know what, crazy. There was nothing I could do about it. Nothing I could do about it. I think we have to remember that when we are talking to people that are in the market as buyers, when we're talking to people about who are about to become buyers. Maybe they're just getting into the market. Maybe they're just getting pre-qualified. I think we have to let them know, hey, look, it can be hard out there. I want you to be prepared. We're gonna do everything we can to make this happen for you quickly and smoothly. But there's people out there that have been doing this for a year, 2 years, right? So I think if they know that up front, it's kind of like, okay, we're in it for the long haul, right? And then if something pops real quick and it's really easy for them, great, great. Everybody's happy, you know? But we're not doing our job unless we kind of explain what the climate's like. And I think that's important. Uh, Anybody else want to add to this? Got something to add or ask
I
or
think
anything?
I think the fire insurance topic is still pretty heavy for a lot of people.
Yep.
I've got clients, we've been shopping for a while. We were in escrow once, and inspections came back, we canceled. But again, they're competing in their price range, and we have to wait on a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times we have to wait on an insurance quote to see how high above list price we can write.
Ah, because it messes with the payment metric.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's a good one.
We
Hmm.
just Edgar Gosalves. I don't know if you know him. He's
I
Nevada
do.
County.
I do.
But we wrote on one of his on Jennifer Drive off of
Hmm.
Wolf.
Hmm.
There were nine other offers. That's the one I texted you. I didn't know how to respond to the
Right.
multiple counter.
The
There were
multiple
nine
counter.
total, and they countered us and one other party. And we came up and we still didn't get it.
Oh, you did go up.
We did. Yeah, we were able to go up. We got an insurance quote, and they were able to pull like 5,000 more dollars towards their down.
Uh-huh.
So we went up 10,000 and we still didn't get it. So we're in backup.
Okay. Do you have any idea how much you got beat by?
He would not give me anything. I
Huh.
I pushed him hard.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, the insurance that you bring up a really good point, especially if it's, well, I mean, hell, now if it's in City of Auburn, maybe. Um, it can be a real issue, especially when you're trying to figure out if you're really, really tight on the numbers and you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what's my max. Well, the insurance is part of that.
Yeah.
And um, who do you quote insurance through?
So these buyers have been using Ann Solano as their lender. So
Uh-huh.
she's generally able to get the quickest quotes. But
Okay.
if I'm helping them and we're on it, I use Goosehead or Chris Camera. Either
Uh-huh.
of them are both quick and they're usually pretty comparable to each other.
Okay, good. All right. Those are good. Those are good vendors. Good. Okay. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It is a huge deal. And I'm sure you guys know this, but I'm just going to say it. You know, we always ask for a current policy and deck page so that we can post that to the disclosure package. but it doesn't mean anything. Even if it's on fair plan at 4 grand a year for the fair plan, the renewal is going to be more, right? You can't count on that number. It doesn't mean anything. So um, we're going to have to figure out a way to get better at that or faster at that or something. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and this actually, what you said just reminded me, a conversation I'm having with clients about the whole insurance topic is when we closed on our property, there's two dwellings. We live
Mm-hmm.
in one, the other's a rental.
Mm-hmm.
When we closed, we knew we were going to be on Fair Plan. Okay, yeah, we're doing it anyways. Fair Plan said, yeah, we'll insure you. And then as soon as we closed escrow, we got a letter in the mail saying dwelling number two needed a roof and new decks immediately. So that was an unexpected expense for us. So now I just have that conversation with buyers when we're getting an insurance quote to let them know, like, hey, this could happen. It could happen after we close. And it
Yep.
sucks, but I'm just dropping that seed for them because then they can't come back and say you didn't tell us.
Another great point. The one that I sold my clients on Harris Road not too long ago, two dwellings, main house, ADU, main house, roof is shot. They knew it. They're like, yeah, but we can get another 3 years out of it. And I did. I told them, I said, not if the California Fair Plan says you need a new roof, you can't. And you should be ready because they could send you a letter. Uh, uh, 15 days after you close escrow that says you have 30 days to put a roof on it or we're going to cancel you. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks. All right, what else? Was that a cat, Karen? Is that Mr. Bigglesworth or whatever his name is? Yeah. No. Okay. What else do we got, guys? Anything? It's 54. This is a good conversation. If you have more on it, you don't want to talk about it now, reach out. We could talk about it some more. Please sell our new listing in Applegate. Uh, any other listings we need to get in contract? Brenda's got some listings we need to get in contract. Brianna, how's the Auburn, the number B, whatever it is.
Yeah, Forest Hill Avenue.
Yeah.
It's been slower than I expected, honestly. You and I had settled on listing at 399
Yep.
and another one popped up. Same complex, fully renovated but empty, not staged, listed at 399.
Mm-hmm.
So we listed at 374.9.
Mm-hmm.
We've got thousands and thousands of views and saves and clicks and shares. Only a handful of groups through. I know the weather's been bad. And the HOA is pretty high. It's a 3-story condo, so not ideal for downsizers because
Right.
you got to go all the way upstairs to get to the bedrooms. So yeah, if you guys could sell that, that would be great.
Yeah. The other one's still active too?
The other two, yeah.
There's two
There,
of them still active? Okay, good.
yeah.
Good. All right.
We're the easiest to show. And we've got all our inspections, the whole
Okay.
thing. So hopefully they're all just looking at all three and then comparing and choosing ours.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get much better weather. We're all going to get much better weather. It's supposed to be 70 degrees by the end of the week, which is not good for skiing.
Mm.
But yeah, it's 70 degrees by the end of the week. So better rates, better weather. Looks real good. All right. If you need me, you know where to find me. You want to talk about buyers, you want to talk about listings, just reach out. All right. Anybody got anything else? I'm going to get you out of here. It's 57. I kept you for a whole hour this time. Ready? Five, four, three, two, one. See you later.